Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Gabe.
And I'm playing Tetris.
Yeah, I don't think this version even has two-player in it. This is an old cartridge.
This is old. This is the original Tetris for the NES.
Yes.
So this is the computer playing Tetris. I am better at Tetris than this computer.
Yes, she is.
Yes, I am. Alright, so now that I've got the bragging out of the way, I have a question, Gabe.
Yes.
Do you want me to start at level 1, or do you want me to start, like...
Do you find it really boring to start at level 1?
Yeah, kinda.
Okay, well you should start maybe one level below where you would normally start. Whatever that would be.
Okay. Do you have a music preference?
Well, so this is the Nutcracker Suite, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else is there? So this is like Russian folk music. I like this one so far. What's the other one? I think I like music 2 best. I don't know, what about you? You like the calming, soothing Brian Eno music?
Actually, like, it's so different from most, like, chiptunes.
Okay, well, sure.
Well, no, I mean...
Let's showcase it if you want.
No, that's... I've always... So, in my myriad Tetris playing days,
yeah.
I actually changed up the music quite a lot. I would change music frequently, so I don't mind.
Okay, cool.
You can do 2, that's fine.
Now, what is the difference between A-type and B-type? You're going to play A-type, but...
A-type is you go until you die.
Okay.
B-type is puzzles.
Oh, okay.
So
gotcha.
B-type is slightly like Dr. Mario, actually.
Oh, okay.
Except that the different pieces and...
So in A-type, does it ever start over and place blocks in the way for you?
No.
Okay, that's only in B-type. Okay, interesting. So you would normally start on...
On 5?
5. So why don't we start on 4? Okay.
Tell me about your Tetris background, Gabe.
A long time ago, we had an Atari computer. And this Atari computer had, we got a magazine for it that had programs in it that you could type in by hand, line by line, so that you could play them. Because we didn't want to spring for the more expensive version of the magazine that came with the disc with the programs on. Mm-hmm. And because I think my dad wanted me to learn to type. So we did this with a number of programs, and one of them was a game called Red Squares for copyright reasons. I don't want to distract you here. Okay, there you go. You made it. Okay. So the music gets faster when the puzzle gets higher?
Indeed.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, that's kind of mean.
Okay, and so it was called Red Squares, and it was basically Tetris, except it used a screen mode where the blocks were very wide, so it was kind of hard to tell how they were going to rotate.
Oh.
And what's more, we didn't figure out for the longest time that you could rotate the pieces. So we were trying to play Tetris without being able to rotate the pieces.
This is going to be very embarrassing. I'm going to lose my first game.
Oh, we can start over.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet and we'll see if you can bring him back from the brink. Oh, you could put that one over the left. Well. Okay, we'll just start the recording over.
No, this is fine.
Oh, okay.
That was a warm-up.
Okay.
That was a warm-up. I also haven't played this in several years.
Okay.
So anyway, you're telling me about Red Brick?
Red Squares.
Red Squares.
Yeah.
Red Squares is a terrible name for a game.
Yeah, well, you know, it was supposed to be kind of Russian sounding too, so that, like, it was, you know, at least referring to the fact that the game was invented in Russia. But yeah, so we played it for a long time, thinking it was basically impossible to play for any length of time because because you couldn't rotate any of the pieces, so the board would inevitably eventually fill up.
Right.
And so it was just a question of how long you could manage to not fill it up. I discovered that you could turn the pieces, and my dad was also playing this game quite a bit, and so this was like a revelation to him. You could turn the pieces. Then we both played it quite a bit, and so then eventually we found out. I mean, this was before the days of the internet when you just look stuff up. Eventually we found out that this was actually a clone of Tetris that we'd been playing. And then when we got, after the Atari, Atari kind of sort of went out of business there, and the college my dad worked for went to PCs, so we were able to get a PC to use for mostly college purposes. But when my dad wasn't using it for college purposes, I got to play games on it, and we eventually got a copy of Tetris, probably an illegal copy of Tetris from a friend of mine that worked under CGA, and then I was able to play real Tetris with the Russian backgrounds. I don't know if you ever played it on the PC.
No.
Every level had a different background, and of course in CGA there were just 4 colors to work with, so they looked pretty primitive. But you could tell that they were, various scenes from Russia, the Russian space program, Russian people underwater doing stuff. I forget what they all were. And that version would work with VGA, but we didn't have a VGA on that machine. VGA was very new and expensive at the time. Eventually we got a computer with VGA and we were able to play it with the full colors, and then I eventually went finally and bought it, so I was legal. It came in a pack with Weltris. You ever play Weltris?
No. I've heard of Weltris.
It's like Tetris, but the pieces fall down the sides of the well into the center of the well. It's really weird. I preferred one called Blockout, 3-dimensional Blockout.
No.
Do you want to just start the video over at this point?
Why?
Okay. Because I know you can do this really well. I don't know if everyone wants to see you fail several times first. I don't know.
Look, man, this is how Tetris goes.
Okay. And with Faces. Did you ever play Faces?
No.
Faces was different pieces of facial anatomy would fall down the screen. Noses and mouths and chins and eyes and hair.
Oh, that's creepy.
They were, horizontal segments, and you had to match them up. And the longer the game went, the more different faces were all present at once. So it got harder and harder, and of course when you matched up a face, you had like 5 columns, I think, to put faces in. When you matched up a face, I think it actually got rid of some of the waste pieces beneath it, otherwise it would have been just too hard to play. I remember the copy protection scheme on this was like a booklet that came with it that had questions. You had to answer those questions.
What?
And they were like esoteric Russian trivia questions that you might be able to answer if you lived in Russia,
Or had the internet, which everyone did.
Well, nobody did at that time yet.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying, like...
Exactly, this was pre-internet copy protection.
That's fascinating. Oh my god.
Yeah. So there goes for maximum points, which sometimes backfires.
Yeah.
As you've seen recently.
You see, that's why, like... I don't know, I figure anyone who's actually into watching other people play Tetris in the first place isn't gonna mind, like... a couple of... it didn't quite go rights, you know?
I think the other thing about the Atari version is because it was in the graphics mode, and graphics mode didn't allow text except in a funky-looking window at the bottom. It didn't actually tell you what your score was. Or if it did, it was just like a series of colored blocks that you had to translate into a score.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So, like, we never knew. I didn't know until much later that dropping a 4 and getting 4 lines all at once got you more points. I was always curious what the actual formula was for how you get points in Tetris.
I don't understand the formula perfectly myself. I do know that my record, my all-time record, is 406,000 and change.
Okay. So then the other thing, like watching and playing a number of versions of Tetris, including the CJ version on the PC, I was like, but if you didn't want to have the pictures in the background, you could do this in text mode where you have 16 colors to work with. And what's more, the blocks in the PC looked like, you know, just a solid outline and a solid color in the middle, which was an actual character in the IBM character set.
Oh.
So then I wrote my own text version clone of Tetris, and I actually made it so people could play it on my BBC over a modem. I don't know how playable it was over the modem because I almost never called my own BBS, but it was...
Hey, why don't you explain for the kids at home what a BBS is?
Okay, so before there was the internet, actually there's a web page where I describe all of this, but I'll see what I can remember from what's on the web page.
Sorry, keep talking.
Okay, so before there were internet service providers that you could dial up and be connected to the entire internet all at once. There were places you could, actually before there were high-speed cable modems and things of that kind, there were modems that operated over the telephone system, the old telephone system, or POTS as it was called, the plain old telephone system. And you know, at the end, as those were going out of favor and being replaced with the faster cable modems, you could connect to services like America Online, and there were some others. AOL's still kind of around, right? They have a website?
Yeah, they're trying to, like, rebrand themselves as being hip and no one's buying it.
Okay. But so anyway, yeah, back when they were hip, or kind of hip...
when they were the only game in town for a lot of people anyway.
Well, yeah, when they were one of several games, and as hip as the others. You could dial up your modem and be connected to the entire internet through AOL. You probably still can in places. I bet that they still allow that. But before that, before there were internet service providers, you could just dial up to some guy's modem in his house, which was not connected to the internet, but which other people dialed up to too, so that they could send you messages and you would get them when you logged on. But there was only ever one person logged on at once, unless you had more than one telephone line. You had to have one telephone line per person logged on at the same time. These were called bulletin board systems because that's kind of how they worked. The messages you would leave were kind of like as if they were being left on a bulletin board, and some of them actually had bulletin boards that functioned that way, but also they would have private messaging capabilities. You could send people basically email, except it would only be to other members of the same BBS. And then eventually there was FidoNet, I think it was called, where the BBSes would call each other and exchange mail messages, so that then you could mail anybody who logged into any BBS that was on FidoNet. So it was all kind of working towards internet access for your average person who wasn't at a college and didn't have real internet.
I wondered, what year was this about?
Let's see, my BBS was up when I was in, I don't know if it was quite up when I was in junior high school, but it was definitely up when I was in high school. So that would have been 92, 93, and 94. I had it up briefly while I was at college, but nobody called it because I was in a different area code, and my old people wanted to make long-distance calls.
And are you still running a BBS clone, or would you shut it down because our ISP got mad at us?
Well, so it wasn't that made them get mad at us, but then we got briefly until my credit card got canceled for shopping at insecure places, those being like Home Depot and Target. Nothing shadier than that, but
nothing shadier than Home Depot, which, let's face it, is pretty fucking shady.
Okay, so anyway.
Go on.
Yeah, but so then and then I forgot to update it and we lost it, but we had a virtual Linux box on the internet that was connected, that allowed you to connect to it, and it would connect to my house here, and so you could telnet to the BBS for a while, and we might set that up again, but you know, we didn't leave our relationship with them in very good situation. Because the card got canceled, they didn't get payment for several months, and now we don't know if they want payment for those several months before they give me my data back or what. And I need to call them during office hours, and I guess I'm doing other things now. I'm making videos for the internet. So then there was a Tetris battle game that we played on Facebook for a while.
Yeah, what was it called? Was Was it just Tetris Battle?
I think it might have been just called Tetris Battle. And let's see, one of the features that it had that I liked a lot was that it would show you a ghost image. I think maybe you had to earn points first, but eventually you could get it to show you a ghost image of where the piece was going to drop.
Oh, yeah. I actually found that incredibly distracting. I never bought that one.
I don't know if it's because I started out on the Atari on TVs, but I've often had the problem, not so much anymore, but when I was first playing, I often had the problem that the piece would drop just one thing to the left or one to the right of where I thought I was dropping.
Yeah, one of the most important things about playing, I think any kind of Tetris, but especially NES Tetris, you have to sit right in the middle of the screen.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's not aligned for you correctly.
Well, and like these old TVs were not flat screen.
Right,
Yeah.
They were not tube TVs, were not that old.
Yeah.
But they were, you know, what's that, convex glass screens.
Yeah, well those were tube TVs. The convex glass screens were. The picture was a tube. Because they're also vacuum tubes.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
I was talking about vacuum tubes.
Yeah, but CRTs, yes, they were CRTs.
CRTs.
And so even when you were sitting right in front of them, the screen curved out towards you and back down again, and that could be a problem when you're moving pieces near the edges of the screen. Maybe more for me because my glasses distort everything more than yours.
Well, I didn't have glasses at the time.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I didn't get glasses until college.
So as fast as this is still only 1/4 of your best score, correct?
Correct. Which is more to do with scoring than level placement.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm about to buy it here. But you'll notice we're back on the color we started on.
Oh, okay.
Because that's level 15. Of 20 or 19?
This is BBSes, and for some reason the Kremlin takes off.
Well, you see, so we skipped right past all the rockets. So usually there's the castle on the right side, and then you see where the little spaceship is.
Yes.
That's usually like a rocket to the moon kind of rocket.
Okay, and so if you get high enough score, the rocket to the moon rocket takes off.
Well, the rocket to the moon always takes off.
Okay.
To the moon. I don't know where it's going.
Okay.
No one knows where it's going.
Well, supposedly,
but, like,
we just found out that the USSR was all in for Venus, so it's probably going to Venus.
So, like, if you score, I think, above 40,000, maybe, then you get this little rocket that was like the size of a matchstick.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And then I think there were 4 stages of rocket. They got bigger and bigger and bigger until one of them was like massive on the other side of the screen.
Okay.
And then if you score above 100,000 or above 120,000, I think, then it turns into a spaceship and the castle
takes off. Okay, cool. Wow. So do you want to try one more time and see if you can beat 148,900?
Sure.
Okay. Howard, you beat Howard!
Well, Howard's not that hard to beat. I mean, he did make it to level 9, bless him, with exactly a score of 10,000, which frankly is the harder of the two things to do.
Yeah, I suppose. Just one line at a time, one line at a time.
Gotta do one line at a time. Actually, I'm going to go to level 5, just because I'm more used to it.
Okay,
That's okay with
cool.
you.
That's fine. So, not to rush you, but we have, what would it be? 12 plus 3, 15 minutes of tape left.
Okay, so we used half of
I still collect tape. We're recording on a DVD.
it. You call it tape because you're an old man.
Yep.
Tell me more about your BBS system in the 90s.
What else is there to tell? What do you want to know about it?
I don't know. What kinds of games do you have on it? Because you had games, right?
Yes, we had games that were called door games. I'm not sure why they were called door games. Something to do with the fact that the BBS had to suspend itself to run the game because there wasn't task switching in DOS. Some of the BBSes eventually ran on Windows, so the BBS maybe could run in the background while the game was running. But in general, the game had to take over the computer, and often you had to have a special program in between that would handle the communication with the modem. That would tell and return control of the BBS when the game was done.
Interesting.
And that program was called Door, I think. But that may not have been the reason. It may just have been called that because they were already called door games. And there was one called The Pit, which is kind of like NetHack, except just one room, and the monsters keep coming in and you have to fight them.
Is that a game you got somewhere, or is that a game that you wrote?
Most of these I got somewhere. I think the Tetris one and a card game, based on a card game that a friend and I invented. I don't know if you remember the Star Trek episode, there may have been more than one, where they discussed Fizzbin.
This is TNG.
A fictional game. It might be original series.
Oh.
I'm not sure I ever actually saw it, but so we were talking about Fizbin, and you know, it's one of those games that has completely nonsensical and rules that depend on what day it is and stuff like that, and may even be fictional completely and invented just to like distract somebody in a particular moment.
Sure.
In the series. But we were like, we should come up with what the real rules of Fizbin would be, so we came up with rules for an actually reasonably playable game, though it can, like, in certain circumstances, it can go on forever. And then I wrote a computer program where you could play this game, and that was the other door that I wrote. We had The Pit, and we had Trade Wars, which is a very popular one.
Is it like Drug Wars?
See, I never played Drug Wars that much. Trade Wars was, you're in planets out in space, and you're trying to control various planets and the resources that they have, and trade them with the other people in the game, whilst not running afoul of the authorities. I never played it much, but it was very popular, so I installed it. And we had... what else do we have? We had Solar Realms Elite, which I also didn't play very much, and I may be confusing with Trade Wars. Because now that I hear it, that sounds more like what Solar Realms Elite would be than Trade Wars.
For those of you who weren't around in the mid-90s, may not remember a very, very basic computer game that was around called Drug Wars. Where you were a drug dealer, and there were various drugs you could buy, and various drugs you could sell, and various locations, like cities, that you could do this in. So the idea was that you would...
I think I've seen you play a more recent clone of Drug Wars.
Yeah. Drug Wars was, I mean, it was basically, and you just made money, you just made bank, that's all you did.
Oh, okay.
In the original. And then, like, later on, I think you could get
involved. You had to buy
with
protection and things?
You had to buy protection, you had to take out loans to get started.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you didn't repay them by a certain time, then...
You got your legs broken or whatever.
Yeah, they'd send heavies over to mess you up. But, like, it had no graphical interface. It was just... You are here, this is how much LSD goes for in this city, this is how much cocaine goes for in this city.
So you know where that came from, don't you?
No.
Okay, so one of the oldest games on PCs that was just written in BASIC and just had a text-based interface was Lemonade Stand. Did you ever play Lemonade Stand?
No.
Okay, and the idea is you have to decide how much lemonade you're given prices for the inputs for lemonade, so lemons and water and sugar.
Sure.
And you have to decide how, and you're told what events are going on in the city that day. And then you have to decide how much lemonade to make, what to sell it for, and if you choose well, then you'll make enough profit to be able to afford to make more lemonade the next day.
Okay. So Oprah, did someone show up to break their legs because you didn't make enough money making lemonade?
Never. But if you're out of money, you're done. The lemonade stand is gone.
Well, that's boring.
But yeah, exactly. It was supposed to like teach kids who are playing this game, you know, the value of $1 without them actually having to go make any lemonade. And you have to pay for any of it. And you're paying for any of it.
And that's what's wrong with America today.
But I bet that, you know, some kid who had played that when he was 8, when he was, you know, 13, was like, I should make a version of that with drugs! And that's probably where Drug Wars came from.
Like, at some point I think there were hoes involved. Like, it got... Honestly, it just occurred to me. This was, like, just clearly the progenitor of Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, I suppose, yeah. Those guys are probably working for Grand Theft Auto now. They're writing the much more complicated version of Drug Wars.
Yeah, there were no algorithms to determine how far to be thrown out of the car when you crashed it.
Yeah.
In Drug Wars.
Well, I guess that's the other thing is that, like, Grand Theft Auto is now a racing game. Which it never was before, you know. It was a game about stealing cars.
Yeah,
but
and like
now,
running people down with them.
Yeah, but there are all these racing games, and they had to put, you know, everything into Grand Theft Auto because they had this giant budget, and people were expecting content from them. So now there's racing in it too, you know, and it turns out that they had already, you know, reasonably well what is the word I'm looking for? Simulated these cars. So, like, it's not a bad racing game, you know, even though that wasn't what they were going for in the first place. But, you know, they had to have the cars be able to be damaged, although it was mostly by crashing into other cars and by weapons being shot at them and things. But, you know, it can be just as well be damaged by driving too fast, you know, overheating the engine. And so they've got all that damage simulation in there already, and they can just make it a racing game. Or make a racing game one of the many mini games within Theft Auto. We've gotten quiet because Sarah's getting close to her other score.
Oh, that's not what I was going.
Okay. Like, I want to concentrate on watching the game now. One thing that you definitely can do at Tetris that I cannot do is I still have to... Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I still have to think about every move. And you just already have reflexes in your hands that are like, I want that piece to go there, and my hands know how to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah. Whereas it's still in my head, it's not in my hands yet. I don't know that it ever will be at this point. I think I may be too old for that.
This is unreal.
Oh, didn't quite beat it.
One more? Do you have
Uh,
time for one more?
well, you have 7 minutes, so I'm
Okay.
you do in 7 minutes.
Okay.
You still do well enough to make the entire castle take off. So I suspect the reason it has statistics over on the left is because people would very often, I would see people playing Tetris claim that they got screwed because they didn't get enough of the piece that they needed.
Yeah, which is always the stick.
Yeah. So that's to show you that that yes, we are actually giving you the same number of each piece, though at the moment you're a little behind on sticks.
So it does show you what you get. In my experience, the numbers on the sticks is never...
Oh, it does actually give you fewer sticks, huh?
Yeah.
That's interesting. The puzzle didn't get any higher and the music got faster, so much that should be the number of blocks on the screen that determines the speed of the music.
I cannot say I have ever thought about it.
So in general, how high does the puzzle have to be before you decide, screw it, I'm going to use some other piece that doesn't block the left-hand column and make the puzzle lower?
Oh, when it gets to or close to the top of the next box.
Okay. Do you look at the next piece?
I don't look at it in the sense of glancing at it, but I always see it.
Okay.
I know...
The Atari version did not have a next piece on it, so,
Yeah.
and I played so much with that I learned not to look at the next, and I almost never look at it. Sometimes, like, I glance at it before I'm about to drop a piece, if I feel like I have time to process what it has to tell me.
If you had asked me cold if I looked at it, I would say no. Except that I have had the experience of trying to play with the next box turned off.
Ah.
And it just cripples me.
Well, I know that the algorithm that I wrote for playing lots of Tetris, you can watch other videos of that, it needs the next. in order to survive for very long.
Yeah.
It does all right. It can play for a while without the next, but the next helps it a lot. Knowing what's coming next.
We were playing the Tetris battle game on Facebook. This is years ago already.
Yeah, I guess.
There was, so you could get points, and the better you did, the more points you got, and you could trade.
It tried to match you with people of your level or something?
Yeah. So you would ascend in levels, and also it would let you purchase things, like purchase like bonuses and whatnot.
Ah, gotcha.
And one of the things I purchased was multiple nexts.
Ah, okay.
So I think I could see the next 3 pieces. And it destroyed me.
Oh.
Because my brain had no way to know which one was, of the 3 I could see, quote-unquote see, which one was the next one.
Oh, I remember you had to, like, put Post-its on the monitor so you couldn't see them.
I stuck Post-its too, because I could not get rid of it. After I bought it, there was no way to, like, go, oh god, I don't want this. So I had to physically stick Post-its to the screen, and they had to be so thick that I couldn't see through them. So I had to have, like, 3. So that it was totally darkened and I could not see it all. Otherwise, it would just wreck my system. It's entirely subconscious.
So, how often is it important to you at all to keep track of whether you can clear the screen completely? Because I know.
No.
Okay. So it makes a neat noise when you do.
It's true, it does.
But that's it.
I've heard very often. It's very hard to do.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I just played so much Tetris that it would happen occasionally. But that's it. I never went for it. And it might actually be a disadvantage to clear the screen completely, because then by definition you don't have any place to put either of the S blocks.
Correct.
Speaking of which. Yeah, that point when you're like, oh, I have to put a piece over there, it's going to be too bad, and it's not the piece I want, and now the puzzle's going to be high, and there's nothing I can do about it. I hate that point. Was this actually? Oh, yeah. Oh.
What were you gonna say?
Was this actually the version of Tetris that you played the most?
This is the actual cartridge that I played on.
Okay.
Like the physical. See, there's one of the games I talked about.
I gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah. The cartridge in the machine right now, my mother got for me for my birthday when I was maybe 10.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that cartridge is from my favorite too. Almost. Well, or so.
Oh well. I guess that's it. Out of time. I don't know. The estimation is always a little off. We always have a little more time than it says we have when we start recording, but we're at 33 minutes, which is what we had left, so. I guess that's it for now. You want to type in your name and... You should type it in any other times. It won't be saved in the cartridge.
It always forgets these.
Because it has no memory. It's that old, but it will be saved on the internet forever when I upload this video.
Yay! Hey, internet, if you like this enough, maybe I'll do it again and get a better score.
Okay.
Because why not? Okay, bye.
Bye.